Promotional considerations provided by CPR Equipment Services Limited, authorized dealers for Subaru in Antigua and Barbuda, OEC Antigua, Land, Sea, and Air Imports, the Brass Angel Group, LHF Motorsports, Racing Media Culture, Wadadley House of Finesse, Athea, House of Pink, The Glam Lounge, Lady Mex Workshop.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl, Renée, aka Buttaz from LHF Motorsports and the Lady Mex Workshop. And today on the REALyfe Driven Conversations, it's my pleasure to introduce my gear for our historic Podium Snatchers, Natasha Chang. Welcome to the podcast, Natasha.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. You are fantastic.
What do I have? Okay.
I know. I didn't know we were doing an earrings thing. I would have brought my hoops. They are slightly bigger than yours. They get don't talk about here.
Well, my neck is not that long, so I have to actually with these. Okay. Listen, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on my podcast, because from the time I started motorsports, persons from around the Caribbean would message me and be like, "Do you know Natasha? Have you seen her race?" And then I Googled you and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, she's gorgeous."
Oh, you're making me blush.
No, I'm serious. I am one of your biggest fans, Natasha, and I'm so proud of you and all of your accomplishments, and we'll talk about that later on in the podcast.
Thank you.
But trust me, you are an inspiration to me. So people, if you did not know who one of my inspiration was, then now you know. Okay, so
Thank you.
Natasha, tell us about Natasha Chang. Tell us about how you grew up. What are you doing right now? That kind of stuff. I want to know. My fans want to know.
All right. I'll start with the simple explanation. So I am born in America to a Jamaican Chinese father to a Puerto Rican mother.
Oh, wow.
And I have a Russian name, and I always just think that's hilarious. So I basically cover everyone. But I'm very proud of my multicultural background. And, it's kind of funny in the state of our world with race and everything that's going on. I look at things slightly different because of my multicultural background, and I really do appreciate it more. And I would love for people to kind of share that, because I feel anger can come from ignorance. And because I've had my hand and I've traveled and I've been exposed to different cultures, I appreciate everything and every culture and every aspect of many different things. Okay, so that's the simple part.
Right.
As for me, what else about me? I've started racing when I was 18. It was actually not young, because if you want to be a professional athlete, you have to start from you're a child. And I actually spoke to you about this. I was invited to a branch of United Nations. They have a female branch called Girl Up.
Right.
And they invited me to speak. It was an unbelievable, experience to be a part of that, to influence such a great audience of young women. But, it's just, so, and we spoke about, athletes and women athletes, that we have to start small. And it's not necessarily that the systems that are against us, is our parents need to give us young women, our young children, the opportunity to drive a go-kart, to ride a bike, from young. And then we'll start seeing more women in motorsports or in male-dominated sports from a younger age. So it's more of a numbers game than anything else. But I started racing at 18, was completely serendipitous. A friend of mine, Joel, invited me one weekend to be like, he was like, "Hey, do you want to go, do you want to go to the go-kart track and just have some fun?" And I'm like, "Oh, of course, I've always been a car enthusiast my entire life." So I said, "All right, we go out there." And his father, who is the principal of their go-karting team at the time, he saw me drive and he's like, "You kind of have some talent there. Would you like to join the team? And, we can try and teach you and, groom you and so on." I'm like, "Sure. Why the heck not?" And that was the start of my 20 odd year racing career. And, it's been a world of a ride, but I've looked at my career a little bit differently than most women athletes. I never wanted to be this big superstar. I am me. I'm more on the conservative side. And those are issues that how long do we have? Because I can talk about this
Yeah, no, that's why we have
hours. For hours. So it's just my career has just been very different, and I've gotten amazing opportunities from the wildest of situations, and I've just been truly blessed. And what you said about me earlier, it's genuinely heartwarming to me, because I never thought that I would have ever been someone for another woman to look up to. And I love the fact, and I remember when I used to race at Dover in Jamaica, and I would have the young women come up to me and go, "Miss, are you drive that car there? Can't be." And I'm like, "Yes." And it would have to be my teammates, my crew that says, "Yeah, man, it's she." She go, "It's lie." Yes. And then they make sure to wait, and I come off of the track, and they're there, and they see me get out of the car, and the way that their face lit up to see another woman, for them to go, "Okay, if she can do that, then I can do that." And that to me is what makes it worth it to a point. Yeah.
No, trust me,
So
honestly, for some women, I'm 32-ish, kind of, I think. But at this,
older than you?
yes, you are. But
old then. Jeez.
But at persons my age, they want to get into it now because, as you stated earlier, you started from a very young age. And persons here, in my community in Antigua and Barbuda, a lot of persons have not had that push as a woman to get, to be influenced into doing that. Only now that they've seen other women being involved in it and being exposed to it and people talking about it. Now, when it's career day, you find kids that are 3 putting on racer suits and said, "I want to be a race car driver." And before
exactly,
it was, "Oh, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief." You know what I mean? So now I'm happy that we can change the narrative around what person's perception of motorsports is to what it can be, and inspiring and empowering other girls to be a part of it. I mean, yes, it's okay. We can get persons that are 32 or 29 involved, right? Because at that point they would have learned how to drive or have their license at that point. But
the good thing is about hobbies is that hobbies are what you make it. You have hobbies, and you can be an amateur racer, or you can be a professional racer.
Right.
If you want to have your fun on the weekends and do that, you can do that. You don't have to be, it be the end all of you. You can have it as a hobby and pass that on. Racing is something that is generational. You can pass it on to your children and so on and so forth. So it doesn't really matter what age you are. You can do it, and it's 40 is a new 30, and so we are able to do things because we're a lot more fit and healthy. So age is not a limit. So I'll tell you a story quickly. There is a guy in Jamaica. He lives in Barbados. His name is Morley.
Okay.
I think Morley was probably 110, and he used to come to Jamaica, Rally Jamaica, every year. Anybody that's listening, Google Morley. He is the most phenomenal man, and I remember he used to eat cereal out of a paper bag in the morning before a rally. And this man realistically, he was probably in his 80s, and man, was he chipper. But it just goes to show age is really nothing.
Right, exactly. And I'm happy that we all as women can be, the guiding light to a lot of women. I mean, some might not be in the discipline that you are or in the discipline that I am, but just being a part of motorsport, I think that we can open doors to some extent, or for other persons. So tell us a little bit about some of the cars that you've driven and some of the countries that you've represented Jamaica in.
Ooh, okay. All right. So I've been extremely lucky. I've basically tried my hand at every genre in motorsports. So I started in go-karting. And then I went to dexterity, which is called autocross as well, where you have a very tight knit course with cones. And that way I was able to learn how to control a car in a very tight space, bring the back around, understeer versus oversteer, things like that, in a vehicle versus a car. So my first race car that I bought, I saved up my money, and her name was Dixie, and she was a Corolla DX, a rear-wheel drive Corolla DX. And you know, and that was a ton of fun. And then after that, I tried her at Dover circuit track, and terrible, because she just wasn't built for that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try rally. So I got a limited edition Tommy Mackinnon Evolution, and I did a Group N dirt rally. I did a couple tarmac rallies as well. So I was actually the first woman in the Caribbean to campaign a Group N turbocharged four-wheel drive car. So I did that for a couple years. I went to Trinidad and I raced that. I did Rally Jamaica a couple times. And then I had my Honda Civic, where I just built it. It was a race car, of course. You know, I had my roll cage and everything. I did a lot of lightning to it. And then Honda came on board and sponsored me. And then we ended up doing this amazing design. It was the most technically advanced Honda Civic in the Caribbean. And a lot of the Honda Civic circuit cars that you see today are based off of that car.
Oh, wow.
We widened the car. That car weighed, you know, it weighed less than 1,000 pounds. It was beautifully done. The welding work, everything was fiberglass. We really kind of took that notch up for Honda Civics in the Caribbean. So that was fantastic. We did a couple years with Honda with that car. And then I moved on, and then I bought my Honda S2000. And I campaigned that for a little while at Circuit at Dover. And then I bought another Honda S2000, because I actually had S2000 as my personal car, and I fell in love with them. They're super balanced. They're rear-wheel drive, so you can have fun with them. And then now when I moved back to Florida, I bought an SCCA S2000, came up for sale. And I said, okay, I'll take it. So I have that in my garage, and I'm definitely gonna, I said to my husband, I said, okay, this year I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna finish it, because it needs an engine and it needs some TLC. I've had it sitting there. So right now I still have my Honda S2000.
Well, listen, from the first time I Googled you, I didn't see the Evolution yet. What I first saw was the Honda EG6. And for the persons that know me, y'all know, oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. Listen, the Honda EG6 is my dream car. So from the time I saw Natasha in this car, I was like, oh my gosh, we have at least one thing in common. Gosh darn it. You know, so
they are amazing cars. You can do them from, you know, just putting on slicks on them versus the whole 9 yards. Yes. A very, very good car. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's very diverse. It's very dynamic.
Yep. You can use it in anything.
It's lightweight, really lightweight.
Yep. You can get parts. You can get parts at the grocery store. For sure.
That's so true. You can go buy flour and buy a turbo at the same time.
Exactly. Hi, can I get 2 avocados and some bushings for my Honda Civic, please? Thank you.
I love it. So tell us, okay, so last year around this time, Natasha,
What time is this? What year is this? Are we in August?
Yes. About
2020, I tell you.
Boy, listen, everything mashed up from since February, okay? But around this time last year, you broke the Guinness World Record for was it the fastest hill climb in an automobile?
It was the Guinness World Record is the fastest up Doi Chang Mountain, which was 1,000 meters.
Right. Yes. And listen, I want you to tell us a little bit about your experience going into that challenge. And did you think from the start that you were going to break that record, or was it just a surprise at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I was actually super nervous. Because it was pretty tight. It wasn't an easy record. And then because it was a TV show, and it was primarily a TV show, you know, we didn't actually get to see the mountain. We didn't get to make a previous run. We didn't get we didn't actually get to do the preparation that's needed for a professional hill climb run like that. You know, it's like, okay, lights, camera, action, break a Guinness World Record. And I'm like, what? Oh, and then by the way, you only have 2 times to do it. I'm like, okay, can I get a shot of vodka? I was super nervous. And then because you have that added weight of it being a TV show, and, it's on National Geographic in a country you don't know, but the teams were amazing. We also had a team called Fat Garage from Thailand. The guys, they were so supportive. They really built me up. And the thing is, so you have 2 runs. And there are roads, because it's it's windy roads up a hill. A lot of the roads are concrete in the corners, and concrete is very slippery. There's technically little to no grip on the concrete. So, a lot of these things were running through my mind. So I said, okay, so for the first run, I'm going to take my time. And I always say I'm going to take my time, and then I go and I'm like, I don't take my time. So you're right. So a lot of people actually don't know, because I'm still waiting. I'm trying to get access to it, because it's on the other side of the world. For us to share it for our side, it takes some time. But I actually crashed on my first run. It wasn't too bad, but I was going in a corner, and just like I said, the concrete was there on a turn, and I just completely understeered right out. I turned and the car just didn't turn. I went right there. And so, my husband comes running. It's like a whole craziness, and then that kind of puts a dampener on my on my spirits now. It was a miracle that we managed to get the car fixed within a few hours. We had to send somebody into town to get parts, to the grocery store. But we managed to get everything. The team was amazing. They were hustling. We got it done. And then the second run, let me tell you, my steering wheel was turned like this. The drive shaft was bent. One of the wheel, because when I hit, one of the wheel was pushed back, so it was out of alignment. I mean, the car was a wreck. I just said, I'm not gonna stress myself too much. I'm gonna just focus and try and get it to the finish line. And when they called out the time, and then they tell you that you did it in 6:50, and I just started. She didn't even finish telling my time. I just knew that I broke the record, and I was just over the moon. I don't think I've never jumped that high in my entire life. I was probably like 20 feet high. But it was so amazing. That's one of the coolest experiences of my life. Very much so.
Yeah, listen, when I saw the videos that you had posted, I was like, yo, like, I couldn't hear the story behind it, because with reality TV and stuff, they edit so much stuff out. So I was like, listen, I have to sit down. I have to talk to Natasha so I can get the 411 on this run, because this is something that, now that you are telling us your story and having that conversation with us, now we know what you went through and the kind of things that the car had to go through, and you still broke that record. Listen, congratulations.
Thank you. I was ecstatic. I didn't really, but I thank my team. They were unbelievable. Without them, we definitely wouldn't have. And you could tell that they were so invested. So I tell you another story. So they're actually a drifting garage. So they have drift cars. So one of our challenges were to go in a drift car. That was my first time in a drift car. So that, this is a very, and you know what I'm talking about. All the guys are all macho and they're like, so they're looking at me and they're like, okay, cool. All right. They're kind of checking me out. So I get in the car. So of course, I always like to do the polite thing. So, how do you do this? So he's like, all right, you're going to do this. And then you're going to, sidestep clutch and you rev and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, no problem. So he goes, all right, you try. And I let the car rip and I take it around and I take it around and watch it. The man holding on, try to hold his track. He's holding on. And then we get out and his face was like, all right.
Good stuff.
And do it.
Yeah.
And then after that, the whole dynamic of those guys and the team, it's like you go from them not having the respect as a fellow car enthusiast to holy crap, she knows what she's doing. And then I remember they started coming to me and we started talking about cars. And then I tell my husband, I was like, babe, when you're in the group when they start telling you about their personal car. So I mean, but it was fantastic.
That's amazing. Listen, being on the outside looking in, I was totally blown away. And trust me, you make this shit look so easy, Natasha. Like, honestly,
well, that was a camera crew because I was nervous as hell.
All right, so
it did make me look good.
So we spoke about all the things that you've done. You've gotten into motorsports. You broke a Guinness World Record. So tell our listeners a fun fact about Natasha that you probably wouldn't have told anyone else. It's hush-hushing everybody else. But tell us a fun fact about Natasha.
A lot of people think that I have no fear and I like speed. I am the worst passenger driver. My husband hates it because like if he doesn't brake from 100 yards away, I'm like, or I don't like roller coasters, and I'm kind of like a scaredy puss. So yeah, but I mean, because racing, and this is how I like to explain it. Racing, you are in the utmost control. I feel like I am in control of everything around me. And if I'm not, then that's where the fear comes from, because I know, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know if you see this. I don't know if you see that. When I'm in the car, I see everything. And I'm more comfortable in a car than I am walking down a street. That's what a car is to me. It's like it's a slice of freedom in a sense, So yeah, that's a funny thing. People always go, aren't you a race car driver? Why are you afraid of a spider? Come on.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. I'm not really scared of animals per se, but if something jumps out at me, I'll be like, ah! But I don't think I'm really scared of animals per se, but I get the same thing on a normal basis. You know what I mean? I'm scared of heights. Believe you me, I'm scared of heights.
I actually am kind of scared of heights too.
Right, so we're talking about a fun fact about Natasha. So tell us about some of the mantras that you live by that gets you through the day, gets you through a race event. Some of the mantras that you live by, Natasha.
Well, something that I've always repeated and I always try and tell people is, for me, I'm constantly moving forward. Keep moving forward. And as simple as that sounds, it's, in a sense, there's more than one ways to skin a cat. If you want to achieve something and there's a roadblock, it's okay. It can be moved. You can go around it. You can go over it. There are so many different ways. And a roadblock isn't something to tell you to stop. It's something to say for you to stop and say, or take a step back and go, all right, okay, challenge accepted. Let me find a new way to approach this problem.
Right.
And so you just constantly move forward. The day that you stop is the day that, you just kind of stop living in a sense. You don't give yourself hope. You don't give yourself an ambition or a dream or something to keep you going, especially in COVID and in everything. I actually got, hired for another contract with Guinness World Records and the show, and we were supposed to do another fun event this year, but of course that got canceled. So I was a little bit bummed about that. So then what I decided to do is that I was like, okay, all right, let me just use this time to do something else. So I enrolled in interior design school because I love being creative, I love colors and that sort of thing. So just that sense, keep doing something, don't sit down, find little things to motivate yourself to move towards a goal. So that's one of them. And then the other thing that I love to say, and I think I touched on it earlier, is that ignorance is not on you. Ignorance is on the other person. So if someone comes up to me and they want to be like, she's a girl, she can't drive, and I'm like, okay, and, it's like, that's fine. If you want to be like that's okay. I know who I am. Your opinion does not affect my life. So I'm not going to give you that. I'm just going to carry on with my, bubbly life. And I've been through some hardships, and as much as, things are hard, I always find a silver lining. There's always a silver lining.
Awesome. And I'm glad that we touched a little bit on COVID and how you found ways in which you can, be more productive and to, invest in you at the end of the day. And I think that's a good thing that we can take away from this, investing in you during this whole pandemic that we're facing, because at the end of the day, it's not just Florida, the US, it's Antigua, it's Barbuda, it's Jamaica, it's the whole
world. It's everywhere.
What I mean? So it's great that, you did not take this time and be like, oh, well, if that's not happening, I'm just going to sit here and sip my coffee, Right. So Natasha, she got her coffee right there. So Natasha, how would you want people to remember Natasha Chang?
Ooh, I've never gotten a question like that before.
Well, hey.
I would like people to remember me by no matter how hard I got hit down, that I always got back up, and I always got back up with a smile on my face. And I think that applies to everything. It's applied to my racing career, because when I started, I was the only female. And, I would be lying to say that it wasn't tough. It was, but again, this was my perspective. My perspective and my outlook was, I'm joining the boys club. It's like a fraternity. You can't just walk into someone's fraternity and be like, yeah, okay, I'm here. Where's my respect at? It doesn't work that way. You have to earn it. And so I did that, and it took me some time, but I can tell you, I can go back to any country that I've been to, and everybody will, they'll still be there for me, because it's a mutual respect. And that's what I loved about motorsports. It was a fraternity, and everybody liked to help everybody, because it's not easy. Your car breaks, you need a part, you need tires, you need this, and so they always kind of rallied around each other. So that was a good thing.
Awesome. And I really love that. And trust me, that's one of the mantras that I live by as well, and how I want people to remember me, not giving up and always returning with a smile. So the lovely and sensational Natasha Chang, tell us where we can find you on social media, because you don't know everybody on social media right now. So we want to know where we can find Natasha Chang.
Sure. Okay. So my Instagram is Chiny Dolly. So it's CHINEY _DOLLY. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I got that nickname when I was like 17 in Jamaica. And I did a little show for Discovery Channel in my early 20s. And they go, they have the mic and they go, so you have to tell us why your nickname is Chiny Dolly, because that's actually racist. We can't call you that. And I'm like, really? I mean, like, okay. When I was young, I was this weird little, petite thing, loud, and, just a personality. And it's that you look like a doll. And what's nice about Jamaica is, they call you Miss Chin, them call you Coolie, them call you this. People don't care. We're just very frank like that. And it was not offensive by any way. I never took offense to it. So it just kind of stuck with me. Mm-hmm. So Chiny Dolly is my Instagram handle. And then on Facebook, it's Natasha Chiny Dolly Chang. and you can find my personal page there.
Awesome sauce. Well, Natasha Chang, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be a part of Real Life Driven Conversations. I will have a conversation.
You are awesome in your own. You are awesome in your own right.
Thank you.
You are fantastic. You're in your aviation career, and no, this is fantastic. You know, and I love that you are doing your part in empowering women, because just speaking and having this conversation, you know, it gives us light, but it also gives you the spotlight, and it's great. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Girl, we gotta have to have a conversation outside of this about your interior design stuff, because there's some stuff that I have to talk to you about. All right. Thank you.
No problem,
Natasha. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Real Life Driven Conversations.